You hungry? 2 words. That's all Marcus Hale said to the man sitting on the sidewalk outside his restaurant at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Not, "Are you okay?" or "Do you need help?" or any of the other phrases people use when they want to feel good about acknowledging someone without actually doing anything. Just, "You hungry?" The man looked up. Mid-40s, maybe. Hard to tell. The street aged people the way war aged soldiers, fast and without permission. Beard matted, jacket torn at the shoulder, hands black at the knuckles from cold or dirt or both. Eyes that were sharp, though, alert. The eyes of someone who was down, but paying attention. "Yeah," the man said. "I'm hungry." "Come inside." The man stared at him. Marcus was standing in the doorway of Hale's, his restaurant, the one he'd built from a food truck and a dream 12 years ago into the best steakhouse in the city. 2 Michelin considerations, a 6-week waitlist. The kind of place where the appetizers cost more than the man on the sidewalk had seen in a month. "I can't go in there," the man said. "Why not?" "Look at me." "I'm looking at you. I see a hungry man. My restaurant serves hungry people. Come inside." The man stood. He was tall, 6'1", maybe 6'2", but stooped, the way tall men get when the world has spent years pushing them down. He followed Marcus through the front door, past the empty tables and the cleaned bar and the kitchen where the last prep cook was finishing up. Marcus sat him at the counter, went into the kitchen. Came back 10 minutes later with a plate. Ribeye, medium rare. Roasted potatoes, grilled asparagus. The same plate that went for $87 on the menu. The man looked at the plate, then at Marcus, then at the plate again. "This is real?" "It's real." "Why?" "Because I was you, 14 years ago. Sleeping in my car, eating gas station sandwiches. Nobody fed me a steak."
I always told myself if I made it, I'd feed someone who hadn't made it yet.
The man picked up the fork. His hands shook. He ate slowly at first, the careful, measured bites of a person who'd learned that food was temporary, and rushing it meant feeling the emptiness sooner. Then faster. Then, with the full, unguarded hunger of a man who hadn't had a real meal in weeks. "What's your name?" Marcus asked. "Dean. Dean Hollister." "How long have you been on the street, Dean?" 2 years, give or take. Lost my job, then my apartment, then my car, then everything else. You know how it goes." "I know exactly how it goes." Marcus watched Dean eat. He watched the way the man held the knife, properly, index finger on the spine, the way someone who'd once known how to eat at a table held a knife. He watched the way Dean set his napkin on his lap without being asked. Small things. Muscle memory from a life that had existed before this one. "What did you do?" Marcus asked. "Before." "Sales. Corporate. I was good at it, too. Top 3 in my division for 6 years. "What happened?" Dean set down the fork. "Drinking happened. The way it happens. Not all at once, but a little more every day. Until the little more is a bottle, and the bottle is the morning, and the morning is the reason they fire you." "You sober now?" 11 months. 11 months on the street, sober? Being sober on the street is easier than being drunk with a roof. At least when you're sober, you remember why you need to keep going. Marcus looked at this man. This hungry, broken, articulate man who held a steak knife correctly and had been sober 11 months on a sidewalk. And he made the decision that would define the next year of his life. "I need a dishwasher," Marcus said. Dean stopped chewing. "Pays $16 an hour, 30 hours a week. It's not glamorous. It's plates and pots and standing in steam for 6 hours. But it's a job. And I've got a studio apartment above the restaurant that's been empty since my last manager moved out. You can stay there. First 2 months free. After that, $400 a month." Dean's eyes went wet. He blinked hard, swallowed. "You don't know me." "I know you were hungry and you said yes. I know you've been sober 11 months. And I know you hold a knife like someone who used to have a life. That's enough for me." "What if I let you down?" "Then you let me down. I've been let down before. I survived it." Dean looked at the empty plate, at the kitchen, at Marcus, 46, self-made, the kind of man who'd built something from nothing and hadn't forgotten what nothing felt like. "Okay," Dean said. "When do I start?" "You just started. There's a sink full of pots in the back." Quick favor. If you've ever given someone everything and watched them take it, tap like and subscribe. Because Marcus Hale had just opened his door to a man who would spend the next 8 months earning his trust, and one night destroying everything he'd built. Dean was good. Better than good. He washed dishes like it was surgery, every plate spotless, every glass streak-free, every pot scrubbed to the kind of shine that Marcus's head chef, a woman named Inez who'd been cooking professionally for 20 years, said was the first time I've trusted someone else with my copper. He showed up early, stayed late, took extra shifts without being asked. Within 2 months, Marcus moved him from dishes to prep, chopping vegetables, portioning proteins, the foundational work that kept a kitchen running. "He's got hands," Inez told Marcus one evening after service. "Good hands, fast, clean. If he keeps going, I'd put him on the line by summer." He was in corporate sales. And now he cuts an onion in 8 seconds flat. People contain multitudes. By month 4, Dean was on the line. Sauté station, the hardest position in the kitchen. Speed, timing, multitasking, the ability to keep 6 pans going while listening to the chef call orders and remembering that table 12 is allergic to shellfish. He handled it. Not just handled it, excelled. He had the instinct, the timing that couldn't be taught, only discovered. Inez watched him work with the specific expression of a chef who's found a natural and is trying not to show it. Marcus was proud. He'd tell anyone who'd listen, the staff, his friends, the regulars at the bar. "Found him on the sidewalk, 11 months sober. Now he's running Sauté like he was born in a kitchen." Dean heard this. He smiled. He always smiled when Marcus talked about him. The grateful, deferential smile of a man who owed everything to the person standing next to him. By month 6, Marcus gave Dean keys to the restaurant. "You're here more than I am," Marcus said. "Might as well be able to open up." Dean took the keys, held them in his palm, looked at them the way people look at things that represent more than what they are. Not metal, but trust, access, belonging. "Thank you, Marcus, for everything." "Don't thank me. Show me." "I will." He did, for 2 more months. He opened the restaurant at 6 a.m. every morning. He closed it at midnight. He ran the kitchen when Inez was off. He learned the inventory system, the ordering software, the vendor relationships. Marcus gave him more responsibility, more access. The alarm code, the safe combination for emergencies, the login to the business bank account, just in case I'm traveling and payroll needs to go out. Each piece of trust was a brick in a structure Marcus was building around a man he believed in. And Dean accepted each brick with the same grateful smile, the same steady hands, the same words. Thank you, Marcus. Nobody saw it coming. Not Inez, not the staff. Not the regulars who'd watched Dean go from sidewalk to saute and called it the best story they'd ever been part of. Not Marcus. Tap like if you've ever trusted someone with everything and woken up to nothing. Because what Dean Hollister did on a Thursday night in November proved that some people don't want to be saved. They want access. Marcus was in New York, a food conference, 3 days. He'd left Dean in charge, not officially, but practically. Dean had the keys, the codes, the logins. He'd earned them. 8 months of showing up, working hard, being grateful. Thursday night, Marcus got a call from his accountant. Marcus, did you authorize a wire transfer this morning? No, I'm in New York. What transfer? $186,000 from the business account to an account I don't recognize. The floor dropped. That's not possible. Nobody has access to that account except me and Dean. Marcus called the restaurant. No answer. Called Dean's phone. No answer. Called Inez. Inez, where's Dean? He didn't show up for service tonight. Nobody's heard from him. Marcus, what's going on? Go to the apartment above the restaurant. Check if he's there. Inez called back in 4 minutes. The apartment's empty. Cleaned out. Bed stripped. Closet empty. He's gone, Marcus. Marcus sat on the edge of a hotel bed in New York City and felt the specific, nauseating vertigo of a man whose trust has been picked up and turned inside out. He flew home, landed at midnight, drove to the restaurant, went to his office. The safe was open. Not broken, opened with the combination. Inside? Empty. $14,000 in emergency cash. Gone. The bank account showed the wire transfer, $186,000, sent to an account at a bank in Florida registered to a name Marcus didn't recognize. A shell company. Set up 3 weeks ago, according to the bank's records. 3 weeks. Dean had been planning this for 3 weeks. While he opened the restaurant every morning, while he cooked alongside Inez, while he smiled and said, "Thank you," and held the keys Marcus had given him in the palm of his hand like they meant something sacred. The laptop in Marcus's office had been accessed at 4 a.m. that morning, before anyone else arrived. Dean had logged in with the credentials Marcus had shared, just in case. He'd initiated the wire transfer, cleaned out the safe, packed his apartment, and vanished. 8 months of trust. $200,000 gone. And the man Marcus had pulled off a sidewalk and fed a steak and given a life had evaporated like he'd never existed. Marcus called the police, filed a report. The detective, a woman named Sergeant Lena Torres, who'd been working financial crimes for 12 years, listened to the story and asked the question Marcus didn't want to answer. Mr. Hale, did you do a background check on this man before giving him access to your finances? No. Any verification of his story, his identity, his claim of being sober? No. You gave a stranger the combination to your safe and the login to your bank account based on based on the fact that he was hungry and I fed him, and he worked harder than anyone I've ever hired. Torres didn't say what she was thinking. She didn't need to. Her face said it. The careful, neutral expression of a professional who's seen this pattern 100 times and knows the victim never sees it until the money's gone. Dean Hollister may not be his real name, Torres said. We'll run it, but I'll be honest with you. This type of crime, the money's usually moved and laundered within 48 hours. Recovery is difficult. How difficult? The kind of difficult that means I need you to prepare for the possibility that it's gone. Marcus sat in his office. The safe door hung open. The empty restaurant hummed around him. The coolers, the vents, the sounds of a place he'd built from a food truck and a dream. Now $200,000 lighter because he'd believed in a man who'd held a steak knife correctly and cried at the right moments. If you've ever been used by someone who studied you the way a locksmith studies a lock, finding the mechanism, learning the pins, waiting for the click, you know what Marcus felt in that office. Not just anger, not just loss. The specific, bone-deep shame of a person who'd been kind and been punished for it. The investigation took 3 months. What Torres found was worse than the money. Dean Hollister's real name was Dale Fenton, 47, 3 prior fraud convictions in 3 states. Same pattern. Arrive in a new city, appear homeless, get taken in by someone with a business and a conscience, earn trust, then steal and vanish. Portland bakery owner, $40,000. Atlanta car dealership, $95,000. Denver construction company, $120,000. Marcus was his biggest score. The trail led to Florida, then a shell company in Tampa. Dale had lived there 2 weeks, withdrawn the money in structured increments, and vanished. But he'd made one mistake. He'd used Marcus's laptop to log into a personal email at 4 a.m. the morning he stole. One email, to an address Torres traced to a woman in Reno. Done. This one was easy. Rich guy with a hero complex. Took 8 months. Moving to the next one. Don't contact me for 30 days. Rich guy with a hero complex. Marcus read that sentence and felt something behind his ribs rearrange itself. The email gives us the Reno connection, Torres said. And the pattern gives the federal prosecutor enough for a RICO case. Wire fraud across state lines. This carries up to 20 years. Dale Fenton was arrested in Reno 4 months later. The FBI found him with his wife, Paige Kellner, who managed the shell companies and the bank accounts from a laptop while their 2 children did homework at the kitchen table. A family operation. Husband finds the marks, wife manages the money. Marcus didn't attend the arrest. He read about it in an email from Torres. Fenton's in custody. Federal charges filed. Portland, Atlanta, Denver, and your case consolidated. Paige Kellner also charged. Conspiracy, money laundering. Trial expected in 6 to 8 months. Marcus read the email, set down his phone, went to his restaurant, opened the kitchen, started cooking. That was how he processed things. Not therapy, not alcohol. Not the revenge fantasies that played at 3 a.m. when he couldn't sleep and the empty safe haunted him like a mouth that wouldn't close. He cooked. Chopped onions until his eyes burned. Seared steaks until the smoke alarm screamed. Made sauces that took 4 hours and fed 50 people and tasted like the only thing in his life that couldn't lie to him. Inez found him in the kitchen at 2 a.m. one night. 3 days before the trial. "You're making stock," she said. "I'm making stock," At 2 a.m. Stock doesn't care what time it is. She sat on the counter. Are you going to the trial? I'm testifying. That's not what I asked. Marcus stirred the pot. Bones, vegetables, water. The simplest thing. The foundation of everything else. I don't know how to feel about it, he said. I know the right answer. Angry, betrayed, vindicated that he got caught. But what I actually feel is stupid. I feel stupid for believing him. You believed him because he was convincing. I believed him because I wanted to. Because I was him once. Hungry, on the street. Nobody helped me. And I decided that when I made it, I'd help someone who hadn't. And you did. And he stole $200,000. And that makes you, what? Wrong? Wrong for feeding a hungry man?
Wrong for giving someone a chance?
It makes me a mark, a rich guy with a hero complex. That's what he called me. Inez jumped off the counter, stood in front of him, 5'2", Guatemalan, 20 years in professional kitchens. The kind of woman who could reduce a grown man to tears with a glance and build him back up with a plate. Listen to me, she said. You fed a man. You gave him a job. You gave him a home. You treated him with dignity. He chose to betray that. That's his failure, not yours. I gave him my bank login, Inez. Okay, that part was stupid. Don't do that again. But the feeding, the job, the apartment, that was good. That was who you are. And if one con artist makes you stop being who you are, then he took more than money. He took you. Marcus looked at the stock, simmering, slow. I don't know if I can do it again. Trust someone like that. You don't have to trust like that. You can trust smarter. Background checks, controlled access, professional boundaries. You can be generous without being naive. There's a difference. The difference is a background check and a $50 safe that only you know the combination to. Marcus almost smiled. You're very practical. I'm a chef. We're the most practical people alive. Now get out of my kitchen. You're overcooking the stock. The trial lasted 4 days. Dale Fenton, clean-shaven now, in a suit his attorney provided, looking nothing like the hungry man on the sidewalk, sat at the defense table with the particular stillness of a man who'd been in courtrooms before. Marcus testified on day 2. Mr. Hale, can you describe how you met the defendant? He was sitting outside my restaurant. I asked if he was hungry. He said yes. And then? I fed him. I gave him a job. Over 8 months, I gave him keys to the restaurant, the safe combination, and the login to my business bank account. Why? Marcus looked at Dale. The man looked back. No smile now. No gratitude, just the flat assessment of a predator watching his former prey from the distance of a courtroom. Because I'd been homeless, I knew what it felt like. And I believed that if someone gave me a chance when I had nothing, the right thing to do was give someone else the same chance. And the defendant took advantage of that? He took $200,000 and 8 months of trust. He called me a rich guy with a hero complex in an email to his wife. How does that make you feel? Marcus paused. He thought about Inez's words, about the stock at 2 a.m., about the man on the sidewalk who'd held a steak knife like he remembered being human. It makes me feel used, Marcus said. But it doesn't make me feel wrong. I'd feed him again. I'd give him the job again. I wouldn't give him my bank login, but I'd feed him. Because that's who I am. And one person's betrayal doesn't get to change that. Dale Fenton didn't testify. His attorney argued entrapment, absurd, dismissed in minutes. Argued diminished capacity. Dale's own email calling Marcus easy destroyed that. Argued that the amount was exaggerated. Bank records don't exaggerate. Guilty. All counts. Federal wire fraud, interstate theft, conspiracy, money laundering. Dale received 14 years. Paige Kellner received 6. The 4 prior victims, Portland, Atlanta, Denver, and Marcus, were awarded restitution. Recovery was partial. About 40% of the total stolen across all cases was found in accounts and assets. Marcus got back roughly $74,000. The rest was gone. $126,000 gone. The price of feeding a hungry man. Marcus didn't close the restaurant. He didn't fire anyone. He didn't change the locks or install cameras in the kitchen or stop leaving leftovers on the back step for whoever was hungry at midnight. But he did change one thing. He hired an HR consultant, implemented background checks, created a formal employment process with references, verification, and a 60-day probationary period.
He put the safe on a new combination that only he and Inez knew. He removed the bank login from the shared computer. He became generous with guardrails, kind with boundaries. The same man, just smarter. And on Tuesday nights, when the restaurant was closed and the kitchen was dark, Marcus still cooked, alone, late. The stock, the sauces, the simple things. The food that didn't lie and didn't leave and didn't need a background check to be trusted. One Tuesday, a year after the trial, he was locking up when he saw someone on the sidewalk. Same spot, different person. A woman this time. Young, maybe 25. Jacket too thin for November. Hands in her pockets. Not begging, just sitting. The way people sit when they've stopped expecting anything, but still haven't stopped hoping. Marcus stood in the doorway, keys in his hand. Kitchen dark behind him. He thought about Dale Fenton. About the email. Rich guy with a hero complex. He thought about Inez. The feeding was good. That was who you are. He thought about the steak knife, held correctly. The 11 months sober that were probably a lie. The grateful smile that was definitely a performance. All the things that had cost him $200,000 and 8 months and the belief that goodness was its own reward. He thought about all of it. Then he said, "You hungry?" The woman looked up. "Yeah," she said. "I'm hungry." "Come inside." She did. He cooked. She ate. He didn't give her the safe combination, but he gave her a plate. Because Marcus Hale had been robbed of money, but he refused to be robbed of who he was. And who he was? The man who fed hungry people. That was worth more than $200,000. That was worth everything.